Step one, wake up early, gonna rise with the sun. Step two, get some good, some food in you. Step three, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step four, everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.
Good morning, and welcome to Good Morning Crypto, where we turn your early hours in the morning into your edge and financial freedom. Today, I've only got a few headlines. One of them is touching on France and their defense spending that they will be increasing by about $1.7 billion. And then I've got a headline on Nike, which I do think teases a lot more of what we'll be seeing going forward with the tariffs and a little incentive for these American companies to actually start bringing back American manufacturing. Let's get you prepped for some success today, though. I got that stock heat map pulled up. Like always, we got a little bit of a mixed bag on yesterday's close. We got Apple sitting down at 0.53 in the pre-market, looking down just a little bit more, down 1.06 right now. We got Nvidia sitting up 0.83 from its close, looking quite down in that pre-market, down 1.05. Got Berkshire Hathaway sitting in that neutral range this morning. It closed up 0.66, looking quite nice. We do have Amazon sitting down 0.3 in that neutral range. In the pre-market, also sitting down just a little bit, down 0.44. We got Eli Lilly sitting up 0.66, and in the pre-market sitting up 0.21 in that neutral range so far. We got ExxonMobil sitting up 0.42 off of its close, looking quite neutral in the morning, down 0.25. Got Tesla sitting down 0.79 in the pre-market right now, looking like a very neutral close from yesterday, though, sitting up 0.17. We've got P&G sitting neutral for the morning, closed 0.61% to the downside yesterday. We have Microsoft sitting in that neutral range as well, down 0.25, and in the pre-market sitting down 1.14. We've got Google also sitting just in that neutral range for the morning, closed down 0.74, down 0.48 for the morning. We got Meta sitting up 0.33 in the pre-market, sitting down 0.21. It's even smoother when BC is not sick. Yeah, it's just been lingering all week. I'm almost back to 100, but trying. I've been sleeping a whole bunch. We got the official voice of financial peace, says K Diggity. I appreciate y'all. Time to get put to sleep, haha. His voice is so soothing. I appreciate that, Bass. We got Jay Violet in the chat, Alexander G in the chat, and we've also got K Diggity as well. Good morning to you all. Let's hop over to the crypto side of things. We do have a bit of a mixed bag there as well. We've got Bitcoin sitting down 1.4. We've got Ethereum sitting down 0.9. We've got XRP sitting down at 4.1. We've got BNB sitting quite neutral. It is looking up on that hourly. We do have Solana sitting down at 3.5. Cardano sitting down at 2.6. We've got Dogecoin sitting down 2.8. We've got Tron sitting up a whopping 2.4 while the market's looking quite red. We've got Leo sitting up 0.2. We've got Chainlink up 2.9. Ton up down 1.1. We've got Stellar sitting down at 2.6. We've got HBAR down 3.4. We've got Avalanche down 1.6. Shiba Inu down 0.5. We've got SUI down a whopping 7% right now. We've got Litecoin up 1.3 and Polkadot taking that number 20 spot from Bitcoin Cash up 0.9%. Let's hop over to those fear and greeds and that liquidation heat map. I will touch on the data for today, but there's not really anything to touch on. We do have a Fed chair speaking, and that's about it. For the stock side of things, we're still sitting in that extreme fear. Looking at 22 and no change, which isn't very surprising as we've gotten pretty much no data to really give the markets any surety. Everything has been looking quite fearful on the stock side. I did say that that's where I was looking at things going back at the beginning of the year when we were sitting in that neutral to slightly greedy range. And I said I was looking at extreme fear to get hit on the stock side, and that's where we hit. And that's where we've been staying. You know, everything's very unsure, not just in the U.S. side of things, but quite globally right now. But we are looking for some surety to really send us back to the upside. Until then, I do think we bounce around in extreme fear and move back up to that fear range. For the crypto side of things, that's what we've been doing, bouncing around from fear to extreme fear, and we're sitting back in that fear range. We are looking for a little bit of a bottom side target as we have been ranging quite sideways. It has cleared out a lot of this liquidity down here. We still have a little bit more to the downside though, and that's what we'll be taking a look at here just in a second. We do have quite a bit of liquidity stacking up here at 83,000. There is another very hot spot at 82,300 there. You zoom this on out just a little bit further, take a look at that 3-day. You do see a lot of liquidity to the downside. This is liquidity that I talked about potentially going to grab after we cleared out some of this top side liquidity the other day. We have quite a bit sitting here at 80,643 and going all the way up to about 81,000. There is a brief hot spot right to the bottom side of us at 83,300. I would look at that being cleared out, potentially finding some brief support there before we try to continue to the bottom side. We do have some key levels right to the bottom side of us with that old CME gap, so we'll kind of have to take a look at that once we slide over to that Bitcoin chart. You do have that 2-week looking quite nice for a move to the upside, especially since everything is quite bare. You don't have any real hot spots to the top side of us or to the bottom side of us, which is what you want to see on your higher term time frame charts to get that move back to the upside. Let's zoom down out to the 3-month, because that's where you can really see the very hot spot to the bottom side. And this is a hot spot that I've talked about for quite a while. You do have that liquidity starting at 74,173, and it's been getting quite a bit hotter here. You have that range running all the way down to 70,800. And as y'all remember, I did say that I have a limit order set all the way down here because of all of this liquidity. There's quite a bit of liquidity there, and as we've been ranging sideways here in this range, I do think we might go grab that liquidity in a quick bottom side sweep to move back up to the top side, because on the 3-month you can kind of see after we clear that out, the hot spot is back to the top side. All right, let's hop over to that Bitcoin chart and say good morning to the rest of the people in the chat. I see Jay Quick Smoker saying evening from Australia. Good morning to you, or good evening. It is morning my time. It is 5:42. Be getting things done quite early. We got Jay Violet in the chat as well saying Quick Smoker, dropping those Australia flags. An Australia girl over there herself. So K Diggity dropping that kangaroo. Got Bass Crouton apparently talking about how he got banned in the Alex O channel. Were you having a little bit of too much fun there? They're a little bit quick with the bans if you don't verify or if you are a D-bag. So they got one rule, and that's basically it. Or as they say, don't be a douche canoe. So there's that one. All right. I do have this weekly chart pulled up on Bitcoin. You know, I've talked about it quite a bit here. After we started seeing that potential for a MACD cross, I've been pulling up that weekly chart over and over. And I like to touch on it because, you know, once we start getting that curvature back to the upside, you might see a little breath of relief for Bitcoin. You did see this cross back here in January, and it's pretty much been a quick move to the downside ever since. We have been seeing a little bit of some cooling off here on these oscillators as we've been ranging, and that's something I've talked about quite a bit here. You do have your MACD, which is looking to get that curvature back to the upside here. If we continue this ranging action, you do have that prime oscillator also sitting at a point where you could start seeing that curvature back to the upside if you get that continued ranging action. If not, I would look at some stronger downside. Your volume is quite red here on the weekly, and your money flow is continuing to come out as well. So looking for that ranging action as we cool things off, and not a heavy sell off to really push things further to the bottom side on our higher term frame charts. Let's zoom that on in to the daily, see what we're looking at here. You do have that daily MACD looking for a little bit more downside, starting to get some curvature the same way that our prime oscillator is, as our money flow is continuing to come out on our higher term time frames. You do have that prime oscillator getting that curvature but staying in the green as our volume is trying to switch from selling to some buying here. So looking for that little bit of a switch on a short-term time frame here to really see if we can bleed over into this this daily chart, really push things more bullish. I did talk about us potentially going to grab that top side liquidity on Wednesday, I believe it was, because I was without power yesterday. We got hit by a blizzard, so it would have been Wednesday. I said a little bit of some upside action before we continue back to the downside and really range here. We did have a bunch of resistance here at that 382 that I had talked about, and that's pretty much exactly where we rejected off of, and we're now sitting back below this key level. I've wanted to see us turn into some support on a more higher term time frame chart like the 4-hour or the daily here. So really looking for this strong level to be turned into some support here if we want to continue that upside. We are sitting right below it and getting all of this curvature here on our prime oscillator. So that's where I'd really look back to the bottom side, where we have some of this liquidity sitting right at that 50% fib line and the top side of our old CME gap. It's going to be that 81,000 range where we see all of that liquidity on that liquidation heat map. Let's zoom this on in to the 4-hour, see what we're kind of looking at there. You do have the waffling back and forth from our volume, which has been buying volume, selling volume, and then buying volume again. It is not anything extremely heavy here. So we're really just looking for, like I said, these shorter term time frames to really bleed over into the higher term time frame. Until then, I would look at more ranging action. You have the highs at 90 and the lows down here at our CME gap with the potential for that quick wicking action below our golden pocket, like I had talked about when we were looking at that liquidation heat map, to really grab this bottom side liquidity, which is sitting in this range. I would look at that potentially coming forward as we continue to range. It really shows that weakness to the bottom side that we keep breaking just a little bit lower over and over again and failing to get back up to these key levels that I've talked about, that 91,000, which is a very strong area of resistance now. And now this 382 has become that strong area of resistance as we failed to really get above that when we broke to the top side there. So that does lead me to believe that there will be that bottom side liquidity sweep as we continue ranging sideways here. Let's zoom that on in to that 1 hour, see what we're looking at there. And for the rest of the day, you do have this money flow looking quite green here as we continue to move sideways. So really looking to potentially break above this 85-200 range all over again. Really see if we can flip it into some support here on our short-term time frame, but you do have your volume continuing to come out here. So looking for that switch back over as it has slowed up into some green buying volume and match up with some of that money flow there. Looking like that's going to be our first battle area for the morning. Potentially look for a rejection off of that 85-251. We don't have any real data to drive the markets in either direction today. So that would be a straight battle between bears and bulls today to really decide which direction we're going to have 85-251 be here. That could either be support for the weekend or resistance for the weekend as we continue to move sideways. Let's hop on in to that 15-minute chart and see what we're looking at. And this is why I do think we make that last push back up to 885-251 to see if we can flip it into some support here. You do have things looking a little bit iffy on your prime oscillator and your MACD here. Could potentially see that continuation back to the upside here as your prime oscillator has a little bit of an S curve here as it's looking to continue back to the upside as your volume has switched from selling volume to buying volume here, and your money flow is getting that curvature back to the upside. Same with your MACD. It's getting that little S curve and looking to continue to the upside here. So looking for that 85-251 to be either support or resistance for the morning. And that'll really send you in either direction. If you can turn that back into some support, look back up to that upside. But with how much liquidity is sitting right below us, I would look at this being a rejection area and a sweep of that bottom side liquidity in our range, which was sitting down here at about 83 all the way down to 81,000. All right, I see Donato Cabrera in the chat. Good morning to you. Let's see. And Uncle Jesse, good morning. Hope y'all are having a great day so far. Let's hop into a few of these news articles. Go ahead and drop some alt requests in the chat for me. I got plenty of time and not a whole lot I was looking at on the TradFi side of things this morning. It's been quite boring over there, the same way that it's been quite boring for crypto. So let's hop into this first news article. We got France to put in 1.85 billion euros into defense via public investment. France will add 1.7 billion euros or 185 billion to defense expenditure via public investment vehicles as European countries prepare for a shakeup of the continent's security order. State-owned financial institutions such as Caisse des Dépôts, I have no idea, will invest the funds into the country's defense companies. Economic Ministry Eric Lombard said Thursday at a conference held at the country's finance ministries. Alongside private investment, this will lead to France adding some 5 billion euros extra to the defense sector, the minister said. The The Eurozone's second largest economy last year spent just shy of 60 billion euros on defense, according to NATO figures. France is home of major defense sector firms such as Thales and plane maker Dassault Aviation, as well as plants operated by pan-European giant Airbus. Companies in the sector are often in more fragile financial situations than firms in other industries, Lombard said. We must reinforce the financial levers of the defense sector, Lombard said. It is in our national interest that companies be financed in the proper way. Investment in defense is a responsible course of action, he said, all the more so since it is kind of an investment that protects our sovereignty and our principles, democracy, liberty, and sustainable development, he said. Individuals will also be able to invest in defense stocks via a new pool created by the sovereign BPI France, Lombard separately told TV stations TF1. That it is vital that the French people feel part of this effort, Lombard said. The long-term participants will be good investments, he added. The drive to spend more on defense comes after a new administration in Washington is beginning to turn away from decades-long security order in which the U.S. had acted to guarantee European security, allowing European governments to spend relatively little on defense. And this comes right after we saw Germany doing a massive increase on their defense spending as well, about 800 billion by Germany to be spent. And this is where you saw a quick switch into some German bonds the other week, really tanking some of that European bond spending, and a quick switch over to that German bond spending. It is now kind of leveled out, potentially looking for something quite similar to happen in France as people try to get in on the ground floor of some of this, and also see some of these companies potentially doing a little bit to the upside there. We got NT saying, hey matey, rate your show. Could you please look at WIF long might come into play? Can definitely take a look at WIF. Let me get that added to the list. I don't see any other alt requests so far, but if you do have any other alt requests or some TradFi requests, go ahead and drop those in the chat for me, and I will take a look at them after I hop into this next article. We got Nike. Nike stock plummets 5% as sneaker giant expects sales to drop on punishing tariffs. Let me take a quick drink of coffee here. All right. Companies project sales for the May quarter to dip by a mid-teens percentage. A C-suite reshuffle and tariffs take a toll. Nike stock tumbled more than 5% in after-hours trading after a troubling outlook projected by the sneaker icon. The shares, which lost 1.5% during the Thursday's cash session, are on track to fall through the $70 mark, giving the company a valuation of less than $100 billion, the lowest since 2020. The company's earnings reports, released after the closing bell yesterday, showed that the sneaker giant's 3 months to February weren't as bad as previously anticipated. Revenue for the quarter fell 9% to $11.3 billion, surpassing analyst estimates of $11 billion. Earnings per share landed at 54 cents, easily beating Wall Street's consensus views of 30 cents a pop. While we met the expectations we set, we were not satisfied with the overall results, said CEO Elliott Hill on call with investors. We can and will be better to satisfy its shareholders and generate shareholder revenue value. Of course, the Air Jordan makers will need to figure out a way out of its share price slump. Over the past year, shares were down 28% from the record high in 2021. The shares are down 60%. What got investors sprinting for the exit once again was Nike's forward guidance. Finance boss Matt Friend told shareholders in the earning call that Donald Trump's tariffs and internal C-level reshuffling might take a toll on their current quarter's sales. For the 3 months to May, Friend warned that sales might drop by a double-digit percentage. Nike, which is backed by activist investor Bill Ackman with a $1.4 billion stake, guided investors to prepare for a plunge as big as mid-teens percentage, exceeding analyst call of 12.2% decline to $11 billion. I don't really see this as a negative thing. I see this as a positive. How can you call yourself an American company and then be worried about Chinese tariffs on your goods? If you are an American company, you should probably be manufacturing your goods here in America and benefiting the American people instead of chasing profits. You wouldn't be in this position where you'd be getting slapped around by a new administration and their tariffs on China if you were manufacturing your goods here in America. So potential downside for Nike and potential buying opportunity as well. Because if the tariff plan is the way that I believe it is, which has been talked about, you've got a certain amount of time before these tariffs start getting more and more expensive. A little bit of an incentive to bring that manufacturing back to America. We'll kind of have to see what other companies kind of toe that line and move their manufacturing practices back to America. But you have been seeing quite a few companies seeing a little bit of downside action, and this is why. They do a lot of their manufacturing practices over in China. I've been taking a look at gold this past week and this past month and this whole year. And, we talked about some $3,000 gold, and that's right where we're sitting above here. I did talk about a break below once we got above this, a 1618 here. And that was at $3,036 level. And I talked about a potential bounce at $3,024. It looks like that's right around where we got that strong bounce. Looking to potentially get back above that 1618 here, but it does look like here on this shorter term time frame chart here on the 15-minute, we might see this be a little bit of resistance here. Zooming this on out to that hourly though, you do see us getting a bit of some curvature back to the upside here, starting to print those light red candles here. So looking for that move back to the upside if we continue to see this money flow coming back in on gold. Looking for some higher levels back to the top side. Let's get that target looking like 3,143. We'll kind of have to draw a new Fibonacci extension for next week for y'all so we can talk about those targets along the way. But that's my next overall target on gold, that 3,141, which is the 2618 on my Fibonacci extension. I have been looking at the Dixie quite a bit as we are looking for a bit of a move to the upside here. It doesn't look like it's going to be an overall strong move back to the upside. We do see plenty of resistance to the top side of us. Our first area to get above is going to be 104.51, and that's going to be that 236 on a Fibonacci retracement. You do have another area right above that, which is about 105.46. That'd be that next little area I would really look at for some resistance there, especially as you do see this MACD cross with the prime oscillator switching from red to green here. But everything looking red underlying that, I would look at some resistance there. You have plenty of selling volume in this range. Your money flow is not looking overwhelmingly positive for the Dixie, so looking for some resistance as we get those moves back to the top side here. Let's zoom that on in to that 1 hour, see what we're looking at there. And as you can see, you do have us looking down for the day. That MACD is breaking to the bottom side of our indicator line here as we are faltering to even get up to this 236 and 104.55. Looking for that curvature back to the bottom side on our prime oscillator as we try to get that money flow to really come back in. Our volume is slowing up on some selling volume, so a real quick switch could push us back up to that 236. You do have some strong support underneath us at 102.93. So that'd be that first little strong bouncing range I would look at if we were unable to get all the way back up to the top side. I see a request for IP. Let me get that added to the list there. Got IP on the list. And I see Crypto Bedell in the chat. Good morning to you, sir. Hope you're having a great morning so far. Let's see, any other alt requests for it? Any other ones? I'm not seeing any other alt requests. If you do have any other alt requests you'd like me to take a look at, I can definitely take a look at those. I've got about 25 minutes and I've got 2 alt requests, so drop some things in the chat for me and I'll take a look at them. We got WIF and IP, so let's hop over to that. We've got IP all the way at the bottom of my list because I was making some moves off of IP when it first launched. Let's zoom this on out to a higher term time frame because that 15-minute chart isn't giving me a whole lot to look at there. All right. We are looking like a potential break back to the upside here as you are making another higher low here above that 50% line on our fib retracement. Looking to potentially hold this 382 there. You don't have a lot of information here on this daily as it's a fairly new project. Let's zoom that on in to the 4 hour, see what we're looking at there. You do have that prime oscillator breaking to the top side here as it switched back to green from red. Your money flow looking to come back in, but you have a lot of selling volume here on this hourly that you're looking to contend with. There's a bit of an area right to the top side of us here at about $5.96. So right below that $6 mark that I'd look at being some resistance. You have a lot of wicking action from back here when we got above that 382. That's about $5.97 there. You see very strong wicks to the bottom side off of this range. You see it back here as well. So that's that first real area I would look at for some battle on IP. You know how that 4 hour just switching kind of bullish here as your money flow is coming back in. True 7 just clipped to green here. So looking quite positive for some upside momentum if you can see IP's shorter term time frames continue with that money flow. You have us moving quite sideways here on the prime oscillator as your money flow is looking to get that curvature back to the bottom side. So potential higher low here on that and continue to the upside. Cool that prime oscillator off just a little bit and continue to the upside. MACD getting a little bit of curvature here, but it is still looking quite to the upside. So plenty of room to run to the upside on that 1 hour there. Let's zoom that in just a little bit more. Take a look at that 15-minute there. You have the 15-minute looking to potentially turn this 382 into some strong support as you are getting that curvature on your MACD and the prime oscillator as well. Got several reversal signals that have flashed with some divergences that are printed as well. You got your volume, which slowed up quite a bit here, but is looking to potentially go back into the green as our money flow is very, very solid in the green here. So Looking for a little bit of some cool off here. Potentially find that strong 382 bounce and continue to the upside. That 382 sitting at $5 and about 63 cents there. That'd be that first little point I would look at. If you're unable to maintain that, you do have a strong range to the bottom side of at about $5.46. That'd be that next real area I would look at for a strong bounce and hold area, especially if you are going to cool these oscillators off and wait for some money flow to continue in on that 15-minute. Do have that 1 hour looking for a continuation on money flow, but that's really going to depend on that 15-minute money flow there. All right, let's take a look at WIF. Any other alt request we got? I see Conspiracy Crypto in the chat. Good morning to you. And All Set in the chats as well. Good morning to you, sir. Hope you're having a great morning so far. Let's get that WIF chart pulled up. I don't think I have that in my list because I don't follow those meme projects. So WIF, there we go. I'm not sure what exchange you would want me to take a look at it on, but we'll go with Coinbase there, and we'll zoom that on out to the daily, and looking quite ugly as it continues to drop. I'm not sure if this is the best one to go with because it doesn't have a lot of history there, so we'll try to find something with a little more history because that looks quite ugly. We'll go with the crypto. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Looking at bear market highs there. Whew. A lot of these alt projects are getting hit completely hard this cycle. Flight back to quality. That's why I own basically just Bitcoin right now. So let's get a Fibonacci retracement pulled up. We got the low before the high, and we're gonna find that macro range here. Looking at some looking back at that zero line all over again, potentially finding a strong bounce there. If not, you've got some levels to the bottom side, gonna be about 18 cents. If you break that, you got a level to the bottom side at about 7 cents. Quite ugly. Not some levels you'd really want to see, but great buying ranges if you have some conviction in those meme projects there. Looking for that zero line to hold, and that's going to be about 30 cents on WIF and a continuation. Really hard sell off. That daily, looking at some curvature back to the downside though, sitting at green on the prime oscillator. As it is getting that curvature, your volume's starting to pick up as some buying volume. Really waiting for that money flow to come back in with some strength there. I wouldn't be buying these meme projects. That's just my 2 cents on that. But if you are looking to potentially trade this, I might see a bouncing at that zero. Got some strong resistance above us at 79 cents, which would be a crazy move back to the upside there. Let's find a local fib here from that high to that low, sitting below the 236 there as well. Potentially find a bounce up to that 236 if we can cool those oscillators off just a bit. Let's see what the 15-minute is. Bring it our way. Looking for some more downside there. It does look quite ugly. 15-minute. Getting that rollover on the MACD, as you can see. Looking quite down here. Prime oscillator sitting quite red, and your volume is completely red here. So looking quite ugly on most of these time frames here. 15-minute looking for some downside, hourly looking for some continued downside there. Looking for downside on that 4 hour as well. So seeing that potential for a MACD cross and a break to the downside as your volume is slowing up quite a bit on that buying volume. So looking at some exhaustion as we try to get up to these lows from here. I'm not seeing that potential for a long that you were talking about there, sir. So maybe a bounce back at 40 cents and see how cooled off the oscillators are for a potential for a long. But if you didn't enter back here and then kind of already exit, I don't see your long opportunity. All right. Any other alt requests we got? I see Uncle Jesse says, I see 6 lurkers. Well, I just hit that like button. I totally forgot about it. I do have it pulled up so I can interact with y'all in the chats with my name instead of Piper Academy. So there's one like for you, Jesse. Let's see. Any other alt requests? I'm not seeing them. So I'm in a short from 52 cents, but looking for a reversal around 45. That'd be that last little bounce we saw at this move to the upside. With how this 4 hour is looking, with how your 1 hour is looking. As well, looking for that cross of our zero line, printing extremely red candles here. I would look for a little more downside on that, sir. You do have that potential to come all the way back down to 40 cents. That's kind of that next area I would really look at to see how cooled off your 1 hour is and see how cooled off that 4 hour is as well. Let's see that 15-minute as well. Looking for some continued downside. True 7 starting to clip here. So you might see on your 15-minute a short-term bounce around 45, but the overall trend on all of those higher term time frames does look like a continuation to the downside. Especially with how Bitcoin is looking for some downside as well. I would look for some downside on that as well. All right. We had WIF and any other projects we want to take a look at this morning. If not, I might just end the show early and try to give the voice some much needed rest all over the weekend. So any other last minute alt requests, go ahead and drop those in the chat for me. If not, I'm going to end the show just a little bit early and tell y'all to have a great weekend. So I'm not seeing any. I'll give y'all just a few seconds. We got Uncle Jesse asking for ADA. All right. We got ADA. Can pull that one up. Looking like we made a brief move to that level I had talked about on Wednesday. Let's take a quick look at ADA for Jesse there. We made that move up to 72 cents. That was that short-term time frame bounce that I was potentially looking for. And if we didn't turn that into some support on that short-term time frame, was looking for some more downside. You got a strong area at about 62 cents that I would look for some support there. Your prime oscillator looking quite red. Your volume holding quite steady though. So looking for that bouncing point down at 62 cents for ADA. It has been ranging quite heavily here for quite a while. You've got that top side being 80 and that bottom side being at about 62 cents, where you've seen plenty of wicking action. You did see that break below the range at about 57 cents, which is quite similar with what we saw on that Bitcoin chart. NT saying, I might hedge that long. Thanks for your advice. Been a great show. Thank you. You're welcome, NT. That's The markets overall are looking a little bit to the downside, so a hedge is never a bad option there. Unless you're seeing something crazy on Bitcoin where everything heads back to the upside, a hedge might not be a bad bet there. Of course, not financial advice, but always protect your capital, protect that capital to trade again for the next day. Let's zoom ADA in on that 1 hour, see what we're looking at there. Looking like some continued downside as well. True 7 clipping out on that hourly, so might see a little bit of some bouncing action here on that golden pocket all over again. Got a strong wick back above it as we got to it. Seeing some wicking off of it right now, but looking quite red on your prime oscillator and your MACD as well for these candles. Let's see what the 15-minute and the morning might be bringing our way there. That's where you're seeing a potential for a short bounce. We got a brief bouncing action at that golden pocket, looking for a potential for some more upside here at the golden pocket before we really break it back down to the downside here. Volume's looking quite red. Looking like you might see another reversal signal flash here again as we break to the bottom side. Look at about 69 cents, 69.62. Let's get that drawn out for a short term. Let's make that thin so that we know it is a short-term time frame one. A little bit thinner. There we go. That 69.626. That'd be that first little area I would look at for ADA to potentially push back up towards that golden pocket there. All right. Thank you for everyone that tuned in. I appreciate every single one of you. Let's get the right screen pulled up. There we go. I appreciate every single one of you for tuning in. Make sure to hop over to Alexo Crypto here in about 40 minutes and show him some love. He will walk us through the rest of that morning. Also tune in to the morning market report at 10 a.m. Eastern time. There's not a whole lot of data to break it down for today, so I'm sure we will have a lot of fun with Piper and OC Guy at 10 a.m. Make sure to tune in to that Trade Academy as well, and the new show on the Piper Academy and OC at 7 p.m. Eastern time. Make sure to hit that like button on the way out if you haven't and you enjoyed the content. Also hit that subscribe and the notification bell because we do have a lot of shows here on the Piper Academy. I will see y'all in the Alexo Crypto chats here in about 40 minutes. Make sure to trade safe and wake up because today's going to be a good day.